Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are. You are joining us for a special edition of Time to Come Alive. My name is Valerie Hope. I'm your host. I'm also your coach. And one of the things that I love about what I do is having the conversation with people that help you become more conscious, helps you get more connected, and ultimately create something of value in the world. And I do that by inviting some rock star people to share this time with me where I have an opportunity to connect with them, learn more about what they do, how they do it, and hopefully that serves you as a contribution to you all. Today, we have a very special guest, but before we introduce our guest, I just want to give you a couple of housekeeping notes. Those of you who are accustomed to using Zoom to join us for these Time to Come Alive episodes will notice that today we're not using Zoom. Today we're using a different platform called StreamYard. And the idea of StreamYard is that it gives me the opportunity to broadcast on multiple channels. For now, you're seeing this on Facebook Live. So if you're interacting with us today on Facebook Live, please feel free to use the comment section to write any questions that you have, to share any insights that you're getting from our conversation, anything at all. We'd like for you to participate as much as possible. Even though we're not going to be able to see you or perhaps hear and engage with you that way, I want to do as much as I can through the comments. And there'll be some special opportunities today to do some things that are unique because of our special guest. So speaking of our special guest, today we have Gail Blair. She is a food and medical intuitive. Gail has been a dear friend of mine. I've done some work with her as well. And Gail, you and I have known each other now for, I want to say 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and you've been on Time to Come Alive before. You were actually, I think, one of the early guests. This is episode number 49, I believe, for me. Yeah, wow. Yes, episode 49. So we'll celebrate a year in the show on December 4th. That's coming up soon. But you were one of the first, I don't know, within the first 10 episodes or so that I did earlier this year, and talked lots about spirit and really, healing the soul. And I think today's conversation is going to be quite interesting in and of itself. So before we start, today obviously is about food. We're coming up on a holiday, a very important holiday in the United States, which is Thanksgiving, and so much around Thanksgiving has to do with food. But because there are other countries that likely participate and listen to this podcast, I also want to acknowledge that this is a time of year where there's a lot of energy going around in what we call holiday celebration mode. Mm-hmm. And therefore, food generally tends to be a big part of how we celebrate. So I thought today, the opportunity today to have a food and medical intuitive like Gail talk about how our food not only nourishes our body, but also nourishes our soul would be more than appropriate. Before getting into all the detail, Gail, I'd love for you to share maybe a meditation that we can do briefly, or mindfulness exercise that will help us kind of get into the space for this conversation.
Right. I'm gonna share one that I share with a lot of clients, and it's very apropos because we're going to get connected with our source of food, which is Mother Earth, our source of nurturing on all levels, in this physical realm. So this is going to be an abbreviated one because we only have a minute or so. So let's start by closing your eyes if that feels right, and taking a nice deep breath deep into your belly. A lot of people have forgotten how to breathe. When you take a deep breath, your belly should expand like a balloon. And when you let it go, it should collapse, like you're letting the air out of the balloon. So just take a few of those. Allow the breath to bring you present. And then on the next breath, take your awareness to your feet. And with the next breath, take your awareness to the undersides of your feet. And with the next breath, imagine, see that you have white roots growing out of your feet like a tree. And on the next breath, attach a stone or a crystal to these roots. It can be whatever you want it to be. There's no right or wrong answer. And once you see that clearly, start dropping that stone by your roots down through Mother Earth. Your destination is the very center, the core. With every breath, you're getting lower and lower. You're becoming more and more grounded, more and more centered. The world drops away. And with the next breath, you are there. Just sit there for a minute, soaking in this nurturing, unconditional love. That's what Mother Earth is. This is the womb of creation, nurtures every creative seed. Loves on it all unconditionally. The weed and the flower makes no difference. And with the next breath, start infusing your crystal or your stone with this energy. You're going to take it with you. Fully infused, you're going to start bringing it back up by your roots, back up through Mother Nature, back up through the earth, clearing the ground, and set it right between your feet and say, I am grounded in truth and anchored in love. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Well, it's kind of hard to be a responsible host when I'm in like the zone. I'm like, I hope nobody's commenting. Thank you. Wow. That was interesting. Visualization is a hit and miss sometimes with me. But it was helpful to have some touchstones, like feel the soles of your feet right in the ground. So having something more based on sensation, I found it made it easier for me to kind of focus in. So it was very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. And I use an obsidian as my stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Oh, okay, I think it's best to start off by like real basic for those that might be listening and watching that have no clue what it means to be a food and medical intuitive. Can you please enlighten us?
Well, the whole thing started at the end of 2011. And I realized, the short story is I experienced hyper awareness and awakening, if you want to call it that. And I realized that I had an intuitive gift, and it was focused on food. And I realized that I had the ability to know exactly what a body wanted and didn't want. And I created these food charts. And the magic of them is you're leaving out what the body doesn't need, and you're only eating what's really beneficial for the body. There's different levels of compatibility. So it's compatible means the body can needs the food, can digest it, can assimilate it. And if it can't do any of that or all of that, then it's really not compatible, which is not a big deal for healthy bodies. And the body knows how to release what it doesn't need. It's made to do that. But if you're healing the body, if you're in a healing mode, you don't want to be wasting energy on processing food or having to store things that the body doesn't need. So by knowing this, it puts you on a fast track. This chart is called Food is Talking. So through this process, I realized that the food was actually telling me things based on what was compatible, not compatible, highly compatible, even best buddies. That's a higher level. I realized that I was getting downloads of what was actually going on with this person's body. I don't diagnose. I don't give you labels, but I can tell you what organs are being affected. I can tell you what organs are talking. And so it all started with food. Then at some point, shortly afterwards, I realized that there's more to it than just the food. There's more than just the physical level. We're spirit, we're energy. Everything starts at that level, and then it manifests physically if we don't understand it at that level. It'll come in a way that we can understand it. So then I realized, oh, we need to get to the energetic root of dis-ease, right? And so in session, I get to the energetic root and the physical root of disease, where you can get resolution, which is, complete a solution forever, right? So you're not going to go back and repeat things. So our body is a miraculous machine, and it's not just a vessel that lets us experience life, but it actually is a conduit to source. So it tells us everything. All we have to do is listen. And so that's what happens, is I'm listening. So in that sense, I'm also a channel. There's things that can just be cleared. And in that sense, I guess you would call me a healer, but I call myself a healing facilitator. It's awesome when something can just be cleared out just like that. It's served its purpose, bam, it can just be cleared in a lot of cases. So anyway, that's the journey.
Good. So Gail, I know you and I have had several conversations, but for the benefit of those who may not be familiar, when you say, so this intuition, this message that you're getting from food or from the body, does everyone have access to that, or is this something that is just gifted to certain types of people?
No, I do a workshop. I also realized early on that everybody has this intuitive gift. They just lost it because they haven't been using it. So when people go through a process with me, at some point, they're ready to start learning how to do this. You've done it. Mm-hmm. And then you go through a workshop. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. We lost it over time. We're not going to, it's not going to come back, right away. You have to use it. It's a use it or leave it thing. So, in the workshop, I show people how, if they can get out of their head, you've got to get out of your head, right? Because you're basically accessing divine guidance. And that guidance is not going to argue with you. If you already have an opinion about something, you're not going to get it. If your head is already full of what you think you know, you're not going to get it. So the first step is getting out of your head. So those are the things that I show you in the workshop. There's ways to do that.
Can you share an example? Because I can get that we have preconceived notions about food. Oh, this is good. This is bad. This is my favorite. This is good. We have all these judgments, but I'm curious about something real specific that you would hear as it relates to something that we eat. Like what kind of?
Well, I'll give you this is very specific. Okay. Recently, a doctor came out, and I'm not going to mention any names, but said that, these foods are poison. Don't ever eat these foods, right? There's a certain...
a lot. It seems like every week there's a superfood.
Don't eat tomatoes. They're toxic, right?
Yeah.
And I know, and one of the things I get really clearly is that there's good in everything because our source is good, right? So that means that it has to be good in everything. Has to be. So how do you bring the good out? Well, you have to look for the good. If you're thinking that something's going to harm you, well, then you're going to get what you ask for. Ask and you shall receive, right? But if you're looking for the good, then the good is going to shine through. And that's true of all food. There's good in all of it. I don't care how much, chemicals. They're made from 2 organic materials. There's still good in that, right? But if we judge the food, it's going to judge us back. So that brings me to the food blessing. But basically, this one thing, when I read that, I'm going, and I always say this, show me a higher perspective, because I know that this is not true, but I don't understand why it's not true. So help me to understand, on a level that I can actually talk about and I won't sound crazy. Right? Give me a way of saying this.
There's one thing that's sounding crazy and another one people listening for crazy. So
yeah, but, the thing is that I do, after thousands of food charts, I know that tomatoes are not bad for everybody. I know that. They're bad for some people, but not for everybody.
Mhm.
But so anytime I hear a blanket statement like that, I'm automatically going no anyway, because we're so unique that there's no, I know this from the food charts. There's no way that not, one good food could be good for everybody and one bad food could be bad for everybody. That doesn't make any sense. So anyway, what Spirit told me was that tomatoes in the skin, they do have a toxin, but the human body knows how to release toxins. So the healthy body, unless it's just overly sensitive to this thing, will release this toxin when it's working right. So I can depend on the chart to tell me when a body is working properly, because some things will come back to compatible that weren't before, right? So tomatoes are a nightshade. If you have inflammation in your body, they will irritate the inflammation. They don't cause it. None of the nightshades cause inflammation. They irritate inflammation that's already there. And so with the tomatoes, there in other nightshades, there is this toxin, and some people can eat tomatoes with no skin. Some people don't have any problem with tomatoes whatsoever. So, when this came out, I started testing different levels. I would say, okay, are they compatible with unpeeled, peeled, cooked? And I'll have to tell you that most people are compatible when their bodies are working right. They're compatible with all of it. And there's a few that won't be. So anyway, that's an instance where, oh yeah, guidance will tell you. Yeah.
You and I have done some work around this for my own nutrition. I remember with the food chart, and that not only are there certain foods that are compatible, there are certain foods that are compatible at certain times.
Right.
Anyone, for example, I think it was like spinach that came up, and it just so happened that eating greens was something that I needed to amp up a little bit in my own nutrition. But now the overindulgence or overabundance of any particular food also creates imbalance.
The body works in perfect synergy and balance. This is this is the third missing link in the book coming out eventually. I keep saying that. But the third missing link is all bodies in nature thrive in perfect synergy and balance. And the body knows how to keep that balance. And so if you're eating things that the body really doesn't need, think of your body as a big toolkit. And what you're eating are the nutrients that are stocking the toolkit you use for maintenance repair. It's not just to satisfy the taste buds. There's a bigger purpose going on here. And so let's say you keep eating the same things over and over again. Well, you're missing a lot of tools.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing a food chart, I can tell what you've been eating a lot of, because it'll come up not quite compatible. And then I'll say, Valerie, you've been eating a whole bunch of spinach or whatever it is, because it's good food. It's not quite compatible. Why is that? Oh, well, I've been putting spinach in my smoothies every day for 2 weeks now. Well, now your body's saying, hey, give me something else. Give me some Swiss chard, or give me some kale, or give me some parsley. Mix it up. And the thing is that if you keep doing the same things over and over again, there's a chance you'll develop a food intolerance. The intolerance is your body's way of saying, I really don't need any more of that. And then you can even create an allergy. And the allergy is yelling, I told you, I really don't need any more of that, right?
It's like almost blasphemy, though, to say that I have a food intolerance for spinach. My parents.
What I'm saying is, if I did a chart on you and your body came up and it was on the line, it's not quite compatible. It's not quite not compatible. What that's saying is, one, you hate it. I pick up on the energy of that. Or number two, you don't need any more of that right now.
Totally.
Just mix it up.
Well, let me ask you this. This takes us in a little bit of a journey here, because I remember when I was a kid and I just could not stomach vegetables very well. I would be the last person to get up from the dinner table, because my dad always said, you cannot get up until you finish everything on your plate. Sorry, Dad, but you did do that. And I would sit there for hours sometimes, just moving that piece of green bean around or whatever. But as I've matured, I've learned how to consume vegetables. Now I know how to cook them, and it's actually my favorite thing to cook. But I'm thinking about children specifically. This is a time and a place where there's a lot of battles in a family around food. So how do you work with especially children growing, needing the nutrition, and some of their food challenges?
Sneaky. Okay. My friend Alita taught me this. If you cut something up really small and you cook it, you're going to get away with a whole lot of stuff. So, and plus, well, I'll give you this, for instance. I made marinara sauce the other night, or spaghetti sauce. Me and my daughter, we cooked, and I put a ton of spinach in it, chopped it up real small. When it's all cooked, you never know what's there.
Mm-hmm.
So you just do things small. For kids, you just chop it up small.
Mm.
And
but it has to taste good. I think that's the responsibility of the parent, to make sure the food tastes good.
Tastes good, absolutely. It's got to taste. The taste. My motto: the taste buds don't care if it's plant, animal, or healthy. They only care if it's delicious. That's it, right? So make it delicious, and they'll eat anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I made my chocolate mousse. It's very it can be no sugar if you wanted to, but it's made out of avocado and chocolate. You don't have to tell the kids that. It just tastes delicious.
I love that. So let's go back to the body and what the body says, because I can also see, I spent 90 days starting this end of the summer through the beginning of November on this program, where I really had to pay attention to my nutrition and look at the kind of foods that I was choosing to eat, and then eventually kind of wean myself off some of the low value foods. But I know that in the program, there are so many other people, we all struggled with this emotional attachment that we had to certain foods. So yes, nutrition, I mean, the taste buds want delicious food, but there's always seems to be some kind of emotional connection as well to the kind of foods that we choose to eat and like. How do you reconcile that in this whole process?
Well, everything's relationship. We're in relationship with everything. And, we're in relationship with our food. And the quality of the relationship depends on what we think about it. So if we struggle with our relationship with food, and I have a lot of clients that struggle with the relationship, it's probably the primary thing that people come and see me for. And it can go from one extreme to another. It could be where people can't hardly eat anything to people who can't stop eating, right? But it all goes back to a relationship that you developed around food when you were little. And that's what, and I'm not going to say across the board that's for everybody, but I have enough experience with this to know that there's a lot of truth in it. So food represents nurturing. So if you, and again, just because this is about what you think about it, not what really happened. What we think about it and what really happened can be two very different things, right? But if somewhere along the line you perceived that you weren't nurtured, then you may use food to make up for that. Because food is very, very nurturing. It's our sustenance. That's what it is. And it could have been something really silly, like who knows? I mean, the way you took your dad, what he said to you, you got to eat everything on your plate. That food may have become an enemy at that time with somebody else, right? I'm not saying that's what happened with you, but we all perceive different things. We perceive things differently. So we can all have the same experience, and everyone is going to perceive it differently.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's come up over and over again is that if we have a problem with our relationship with food, it usually has to do with a perception of nurturing or not being nurtured. And that could be a disconnect from being nurtured. It could be a disconnect from Mother Earth herself, never really being connected with making the body food connection. It could be that. Where people don't even realize that, that food is actually, there for nutrients. That's what it's there for, just totally disconnected. Yeah. So it could be one or the other, but it's all about relationship.
I can totally see that. We actually, as part of this program, we had weekly coaching calls, and there was a particular call where the coach asked, I'm going to give you a name of a food, and asked us to write in the chat the association we had with that food. Yeah. So I think the first one was like pizza. And on the chat, it just blew up, family, pizza night, baseball, basketball, sports. There's all sorts of associations that people had to that food.
Right.
And I think the other one was like, so then he flipped it and the coach said, well, if I said, here's an emotion, what is your go-to food when you're experiencing that emotion? And I think his first one was like lonely, if you feel lonely. And I remember writing potato chips. I'm like, oh, potato chips. I didn't realize but that there was this connection for me in like, well, if I'm by myself, I was late at night, I don't have anyone I need to talk to or whatever, then potato chips seem to be my go-to food.
Yeah. There's a reason why comfort food is called comfort food, right? By the way, I was a chef to begin with before all this started, so I revamped a lot of comfort foods that are healthy. Comfort food. There's nothing wrong with them being healthy.
That is so true. So no, I love what you're saying about the food being relationship and that it does represent nurturing. And we nurture, quote unquote, try to nurture ourselves through food. But ironically, a lot of the foods that we choose to nurture us don't really nurture the body. So can you speak a little bit to the impact of food on the body optimally? You said about the harmony and the alignment that we're trying to get, right? This balance that we're trying to get. So when you are doing work with a client, how do you see the food that the food chart that you work with them on impact their body? Like what does it do to have this food chart and their health?
Well, if they'll do it, and some people, honestly, some people are so in fear of they've had such an experience with food, a negative experience with food. Sometimes it's hard to get them to open up and say to even accept that they can eat this. Because if the chart is saying you can eat this, you can eat this, right? But if you have it in your mind that you cannot and you can't let that go, then what I tell people is don't even bother. Because
bother eating it or don't even bother
eating it. If you can't let go of the fear, don't eat it, because you're going to bring to you what you fear.
Yeah.
So if you think you're going to have a certain reaction, then you're going to have it. So don't even bother. But then I have a lot of other clients that recognize that, one, I'm not telling them this, their body is telling them, not me. And that creates a whole different environment, right? And they're willing to try something because, hey, my body says I can eat this. And then what happens? Things just shift drastically. When people are open, and things shift within a week really quickly, right?
What kind of shifts have you seen when people actually take on the food charts?
Well, what happens is their body comes back into balance because the food is actually bringing the body back into balance. And when you bring the balance back, and usually that happens within a week if you do the chart, and you bring that body back into balance, well, everything falls in place, So the body's always seeking synergy and balance, and everything thrives. You're either in decay mode or you're in thrive mode, but you're never in between. And so what you eat and think is what decides the mode you're in. And it's more importantly what you think. It doesn't matter what you eat. There's a big difference. If you just listen to the energy of it, I'm eating to avoid disease, or I'm eating to honor my body and support optimum health. You can hear the difference.
Yeah.
So if you're eating out of fear, then you haven't solved a problem, because the fear is the root of the problem. The problem is energetic. It's not physical. See?
That's interesting when you say that, because I can also think about the diet mentality that many have in the society, that most of the food, it seems, that we consider when it's diet friendly food is out of fear of gaining weight, out of fear of cholesterol, out of fear of, like, there's all these, diabetes, there's all these different diseases that are linked to nutrition. So it sounds like what you're saying, if I'm understanding you correctly, is that the intention that we have when we eat, if it's around something that we're wanting to avoid, some fear around the disease or fear around our, gaining weight, etc., that actually works against us.
Works against you.
Our intention is about nourishing our our body and what the body needs.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it doesn't matter, I say it real simply. It doesn't matter what you think if your thoughts are toxic. Okay, and that explains why some people, it looks, according to the world, they're doing everything right.
Yeah.
Then, stuff happens. And then some people it looks like they're doing everything wrong. Like my grandmother, lived to be 93 years old and ate bacon and eggs from the time she could chew every day. And the world said that's bad. It wasn't bad for her, but she's happy. Or George Burns, I think I read somewhere he smoked 25 cigars a day, And so what we think creates everything. There's not one single thing that was created that wasn't thought of first.
Yeah.
So if we want to create health, we have to really go here, and what we think has to be in alignment with it.
So last little question about this, and then I want to move on into some of the other food and the celebration stuff. When you say the body is in alignment and is harmonized, can you describe what that looks or feels like? Because I want the people who are listening and watching to understand, and maybe even be able to notice, oh, when my body's out of line, this is how it reacts, or this is what I should look for. Can you give us some ideas of what?
Everybody experiences it differently, and it depends on what part of the, certain parts of the body can be, if you're out of alignment somewhere, eventually you're going to be out of alignment, everywhere. But the thing is, let's say, I'll give you, for instance, with me, I can eat bread, but I can't eat a ton of bread. And so my body will let me know when I've had enough. And here's the thing, this is probably the most important thing, is to start being in tune with your body. To start listening to your body. Some people never ever question how a food actually feels in their body. They just eat it and they never give it a second thought. And the thing is that if you would just sit there and be present with that food, and we're going to talk about that with the food blessing in a minute, but if you would just sit there and be present with that food, you'll start feeling right away how that food feels in your body.
Yeah.
Right. And certainly within an hour or so, you're going to know, oh, well, that made me feel tired. That made me feel sleepy. That made me feel sluggish. That energized me. Oh my gosh, I could go all day long on that food. Start becoming present and noticing how the food affects your body. If you get gas, that's a sign that your body's struggling digesting that food. But some people, they get gas and they're like, oh, I wonder why I have gas. Well, a lot of people can't even remember what they ate the last meal, right? Because they were that disconnected from it.
That's really, really good. I think, and one of the things that I've learned in that process of 90 days, that paying attention to that, we were asked, pay attention to how you feel before you eat something, while you're eating it, 30 minutes afterwards, right? And then maybe an hour or two after. And you're right. When I started to explore potato chips, for example, like my little go-to comfort food, I realized that before eating it, it was this excitement, anticipation, the salty crunchiness, right? But then literally, I would say within 30 mintes, sometimes even 15 minutes, sluggishness would set in, because I was that conscious of it. So you're absolutely right that there's something about being in tune and paying attention to the impact that food has on us. But we become so deadened, either because we're consuming it, like you said, mindlessly. And it could be also because I think sometimes we've combined so many things that we have no idea, what's the culprit, right? That we're not necessarily using how do you best explain it? The types of food that we're eating are, as they say, non-functional foods, right? They just don't work for our system, but there's such abundance of non-functional foods that you can't identify which one is working, which one is not. So very interesting.
Okay. A good question to ask yourself. If you keep doing, eating things that are not compatible, and I'm going to say compatible because there really means not any good or bad food. It's only what is compatible at any one time. Yeah. But if you keep eating foods that are not compatible and are harming your body, the question is to ask yourself is, why do you want to keep harming yourself? Because the reality is that when you really love yourself, you're going to start becoming intolerant of causing pain to yourself, just like you would be intolerant of pain being caused to another loved one, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to get at the root. That's the energetic root. You want to get at the root of why you want to cause pain to yourself.
Wow. Whoo, yes.
That's, sorry guys, that was a little deep. But on that note, we're going to do something fun. We're going to bless some food.
This is what exactly it's about, being deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I know that you said you have a way of divining, right, of identifying whether or not there's a food that's positive or negative. And anyone that's listening live right now, welcome you to actually have a food item that you would like to test. So
yeah, put it in the chat, you know. And so I've got this food. What we want to know, well, what I want to show you today is the power of a food blessing for Thanksgiving. That's the main thing. Because it does no good to judge the food. If you judge the food, it's going to judge you back. And here's another way of looking at this. You know, there's a whole ton of people in the world that don't have a choice in what they eat.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes we don't have a choice in what we eat. I mean, we're going to a family reunion or Thanksgiving or whatever, and there may be foods there that you think, and I go through this with clients, oh, what am I going to eat? I've got this food chart. There may not be anything on it. Well, you bless it with love and gratitude, and you enjoy it, and you move on. And you allow this good that's in that food to nourish your body. If you judge it, you shut that down completely. And so that's what I'm getting ready to show you, what that does, you know, how that works. So if somebody's got a food that they want to bless and see what happens when it's blessed, put it in the chat. If not, I'll go get something.
I think you might have to get something just in case, because yes, I put it in the chat.
I'll be right back.
I'll keep an eye out in case. So very good. I think, you know, the things that Gail has been explaining to us is not only does we have a very intimate relationship with food, not only because of the foods that we choose, that we love, that are delicious to us, but also because there's some emotional attachment to some of the foods that we also enjoy, that in the way it nourishes our body and how our body responds to food. So a few things so far, just to track the conversation, is to make sure that we're present with the foods that we eat, because that makes a difference in being able to identify whether or not the food is for us, right, is compatible or is not. Now, part of what Gail does in her work is also identify what foods exactly are the types of foods that are compatible. And this is, I think, a small demonstration of how that works. So go for it, Gail.
Well, okay. So I went to dinner the other night and I won some yummy stuff. And I think we'll all agree that there's nothing more satisfying than really good Italian food, right? Mm-hmm. So I won, it's a vodka sauce and it's a spinach pasta, but of course it's made with wheat. And so this may not be completely compatible to my body right now. And I'm going to ask. I'm going to use the dowsing rods so you can see it. So I'm going to.
The dowsing rods are for those that are.
So these are copper dowsing rods. Hopefully everybody can see these. Mm-hmm. And I get the answers in my head, but I can leave my head out of it and just ask the dowsing rods. Okay. So usually what I do is I get the answers in my head, and then I will verify with another instrument like a dowsing rod, right? So I want to know if this spinach fettuccine is compatible to my body right now. So I'm just going to ask. And there's different tools. This is just one tool. You can actually use your body too. And I show you all this in the workshop. Okay, so I'm going to remember that everything's coming. Hang on just a second. Answers are coming in on a breath. So if you hold your breath, you're not going to get an answer. So what you do is you take a deep breath before you ever ask, and that breath clears your mind, literally. It clears your mind. So you take a deep breath, and then you ask, is this fettuccine compatible to my body right now? Clear. Is this fettuccine compatible to my body right now? You can see they're not moving. That's an in-between. That means it's not quite compatible, not quite not compatible, right?
Gail, just 1 second, because I know there's probably people who have never seen dowsing rods before. They have no clue of how they work. What should they be looking for? What kind of movement? How much? How little?
Okay, so you want to hold them shoulder width apart. And these dowsing rods are just picking up on energy. Your thoughts are powerful energy. And guidance is, this guidance is coming through as powerful energy. That's all that's happening. And people are familiar with dowsing rods for dowsing for water, for instance. Mm-hmm. Water is very grounding. And what happens when you go dowsing from water, that the rods will actually close because it's grounding. If it's a grounding, it's a vortex. Literally, water is it creates an inflow vortex, and then there's outflow vortexes too. But water is very grounding. Okay, so basically, dowsing rods have been around forever and ever, and it's a way to measure energy. That's all it's for. It's not. What's the word I'm trying to say? There's no power in the rod on its own. It's just measuring energy, the energy coming through. That's all. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when I said this was on the line, that means it's not quite compatible to me. And so now I'm going to ask, is the sauce completely compatible to me? Clear. Is this pasta sauce compatible to my body right now? Okay, so the sauce is, you can see they open. They didn't open real big. That means it's not highly compatible, but they open. That means the sauce is compatible to me, but probably the wheat is not completely compatible to me because I had bread yesterday, okay? So now what I want to do, we're going to take all that energy out. I'm creating the blank slate, and we're going to bless this food. Okay, and my food blessing, which I sent to you, Valerie, you have. I think you're going to send it to people.
I'll post it in the notes so that people have access to this.
Right.
When you use it, this is a food blessing specifically right before the meal or while you're preparing it.
Right before the meal, when you're sitting down to eat and you're saying grace.
Okay.
Okay. This is the grace I say. And this is not a religious thing. We've been blessing food since the beginning of time too. And there's a reason. In all cultures, bless food. And there's a reason for that because it raises the vibration of it for number one. That's another thing I'm going to test. It raises the vibration, number one. Number two, the love and gratitude and the enjoyment of the food, the sheer pleasure that you receive from it, if you'll allow it, will actually bring the food into alignment with your body. And so there's two things going on, is the pleasure, the enjoyment part, and the blessing of the food and gratitude. Right. And so what I want to do now is I want to ask what the vibration of this food is. And so when I get to the right one, and I don't know, I just want to pick these up. I have no clue. I'm going to ask the fettuccine first. What is the vibration of this? I'm going to start with low. And the rods will open when I get to the right answer. Clear. What's the vibration of this? Clear. Is it low? No. Clear. Is it medium low? No. See, they're closing. You can see that. I don't know if you can see that, but that's no. Okay, no. And then they go right back to center again. It's amazing how they do that. Clear. Is the vibration medium? Yes. You see them open? Yeah. Okay, so I know it's medium vibrational. It could be higher than that. So I'm going to ask the vibration of the pasta sauce now. Clear. Is the pasta sauce low? No. Is it medium low? No. Clear. Is it medium? No. Clear. Is it? Okay, so my next question is medium high, and they opened even before I got it out of my mouth. Okay, so now I want to ask, is it high? It's high. Clear. Is it extremely high? Clear. Is the vibration extremely high? No. So it's a high vibrational sauce. That means there's probably a lot of good energy in that. There's probably a lot of love that went into making it. You know, when you get something that's high vibrational, that's usually what happens. There's love in there, right? And so what I want to do is now, I'm going to just act like I've got this plate in front of me and it's blessed, and I'm going to bless it, and then we're going to test the vibration of it, right? But, you know, the thing is, it's probably already pretty high because of the sauce. If we're just going with the, let's just say I'm going to leave the sauce out of it. We'll do the fettuccine. So I've got the fettuccine on my plate. Maybe I've got some pesto sauce that I've mixed it up with. Okay. I wish I had some real food sitting here because I really honestly never done it like this before.
I wish I had some food too. You're making me hungry.
I do with food, you know, right in the beginning, right before we eat something.
The smoothie counts. I have my smoothie.
Okay. What is the vibration of your smoothie? Clear.
Oh.
Is the vibration medium? No. Clear. Is it medium high? Clear. Is the vibration high? So it's high. So that's not, you know, it's already high. Okay. So let's do the fettuccine. Clear. Let's just bless the fettuccine. Clear. And here's the blessing. And we're going to get grounded again. All of us do it together. Get grounded again. An immense, no, that's not how that starts. That's the alchemy prayer. Never mind. I got several prayers. Okay, thank you, thank you. Thank you for this glorious abundance. Thank you, every creation that took part in this one. Every hand, every plant, every animal. Bless you. Thank you for the perfect nourishment this now provides my body. And thank you for this body that knows exactly what to do with it. And thank you for the sheer pleasure of it. An immense appreciation, love, and gratitude. Thank you. So be it, and so it is. Amen.
Okay.
And my ear popped when I was doing that. And that's another story. So that means guidance is talking to me, right? Okay, so let's see what happened. Clear. What's the vibration of this? Clear. Is the vibration low? Clear. Is the vibration low? No. Is the vibration medium low? No. Clear. Is the vibration medium? No. Clear. Is the vibration high? Clear. And they opened, you saw they opened, but they didn't open much. Clear. Is the vibration very high? Clear. Okay. And you see when I say clear, how they come back to center? Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Uh-huh.
By the couch, it's a little hard to see because it blends into the chair. All right. Sure.
Okay. Is the vibration very high? Clear. Is the vibration extremely high? Okay, so they open wider, right? Okay, so you can see what happens. This went from medium to extremely high. From that, but it was a heartfelt blessing, which is kind of hard when you're doing it as when you're not doing it over you're getting ready to eat. But I had to get there to that heart. I had to get to that heartfelt place to be able to do that. So, but yeah, if you bless your food with love and gratitude, you enjoy it. One of the ways that you honor the food is by being present with it. You know, I use this analogy. If you've ever watched people sitting there having dinner in a restaurant and they're both on their phones.
Yeah.
Well, they're not honoring that relationship, are they? Well, it's the same thing with food. If you're sitting there and and of course, when you get in a family gathering, there's going to be a lot of eating mindlessly because there's lots of conversations and things like that going on. But just stop every now and then to pay attention to the food. And that's really the only time we overeat is when we're eating mindlessly, because when we're mindful, we know we're full, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just honoring the food, like not be reading, not be watching TV. When's the last time you actually sat and was just with the food, giving it your undivided attention, right?
Can't say to do it on a regular basis, but you're right. I think that's the difference in the amount of energy that we infuse our food with.
Right.
Question for you. So likely people don't have dowsing rods to go around and do this. But when you're purchasing food, and we're getting ready to start Thanksgiving, like I said, next week. And I know part of my responsibility, because we're having this big family reunion here in Dallas, is to go out and get some of this food and not necessarily prepare all of it, but I'm helping others get their ingredients.
Right.
What would be the responsibility of those of us who go grocery shopping as it relates to how this food energetic exchange works?
There's one big rule that I always follow, or one thing to really remember: the minute something is taken off the tree or vine, its life force energy is going down.
Mm-hmm.
So because with all the technology that we have, we're able to buy food from all over the world. That doesn't mean it has any nutrition in it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it took 2 weeks to get here, it may look good, but there may not be anything in it. So one good thing that you can do is find out, if you're buying a bunch of produce, find out when they get their delivery. When do they get their produce delivery where you shop? Same thing with seafood and meat and poultry. When do they get their seafood, meat and poultry? And that way, you know, you're buying as fresh as you can.
Okay.
Right. When you're cooking, you know, it's funny. I just got this with a client the other day. Today. It was today. She's going. You know, the food is infused with the energy of the journey, from the time it was planted all the way through preparation. So, and I know this sounds crazy, and I realize that I can actually see the animal that this meat came from, and I can tell if it's clear or not, right? So when you're cooking the food, that would be a good time to bless it. You know, as you're cooking it, and also watch your energy while you're cooking it. So with this one client, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just," you know, we were talking about how the food gets infused with energies. For instance, I was telling her, you know, if you're under a lot of stress when you're cooking, well, that energy of stress is infused in the food, and it may cause stress on somebody's body. It might be harder to digest, for instance. So she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just did that." And she said, "Can I bless it retroactively?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can." So, you know, when you're cooking, be mindful when you're cooking. You know, it's really hard to be stressed when you're one with the food. And you know, this happened to me. You might have read this blog. I put a blog out, and I was training chefs on a weekend in August. The end of August, my AC went out. And so at one point it was like 98 degrees in my house. And there was 3 of us, and all of them, you know, everybody, you know, the 2 chefs said, "Yeah, I can do this, not a problem." One of them, she's it's owned 3 restaurants, and, you know, used to be in a hot kitchen, so that was like, it wasn't a big deal for her. But what we realized is that when we were really present with what we were doing, that we weren't even sweating. We never broke a sweat. We didn't start sweating until we came out of that mode and came back into the world. That's when we were aware that it was actually hot, and we started sweating. And that happened over and over again over the course of a couple of days. And we were all in awe. We're going, wow. You know, so when you're present, literally the world goes away. So, you know, but again, being present with your food while you're cooking and eating it is honoring and loving the food. That's what you're doing.
That's so interesting. You share that there's obviously a lot to do with being present, but you even mentioned how the moment the food is removed from its source, right, that the energy is detached from it. But that goes to speak to the idea of eating whole foods, right? Because I imagine if it's in a conveyor belt or coming out of a petri dish or something like that, it may not have any life to begin with.
Well, you know, you operate in wholeness.
Yeah.
Right. So when I say wholeness, I mean, you are not disconnected from anything. We all are operating in this wholeness. And it makes sense that our body operates most effectively when we give it whole foods. It recognizes the food in wholeness. When we start separating things out, like, you know, we take all these separate vitamins and things, not working. Everything works in synergy, balance, wholeness. That's what synergy means, you know, and, you know, wholeness. And so, yes, we want to primarily eat whole foods. Does that mean that you have to be perfect? No. You know, it means that, you know, for me, what it means is I eat for my body about 80% of the time, maybe a little more than that. And then, but if I want something, I'm going to eat it, but I'm going to bless it. You know, I'm not going to judge it. So if you're eating something and you're going, you know, what's running in the background is that this is not good for me. This is going to hurt me. then you've just negated the prayer.
Yeah.
You have to have pure intention.
Mm-hmm.
So people wonder why they're not manifesting what they want. It's because they're saying one thing, I want this, but then they're opposing it with another thought, right?
There's some judgment.
Exactly. So best case scenario is the universe is confused. Worst case scenario is you're going to manifest what you don't want. Right.
I love that.
So once you bless it, enjoy it, and let it go.
Yeah.
And I use a client example for that one too. I had someone who reached a weight goal. She wanted to lose 65 pounds, and she did. And then she's going to go on this cruise, and you know what cruises are all about, right? And she's like, she starts worrying about it. I'm going to gain all this weight back. And I said, no, you're not. You know how to work this now. Obviously, you know how to work it. I said, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm going to bless everything, and I'm going to enjoy it. Thank you. And she lost weight on the cruise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, lost weight on the cruise.
But I think there's some things that, some themes here. Obviously, the being present, not only to how our body is communicating, how the food is reacting, right? Or how we're reacting to the food, being present when we're eating, being present as we're preparing the food. That's one thing as you're talking, I was thinking, I actually think I'm much more present when I'm preparing the food than when I'm consuming it. There's something around cooking. I enjoy cooking. I usually play music that I enjoy too, so it adds to that. And do you remember this movie? Maybe it was back in the 90s. In Spanish, it's called Como Agua para Chocolate, or like water.
My favorite movie.
Yes, like water for chocolate. So that's all about how to infuse food, or how the food was a vehicle for all the emotions that the people who were preparing it were experiencing as they were preparing it. So I like what you're saying about that, because I could not only experience it myself, but I remember that movie made such an impact in saying, oh, that's what that means.
Food is so important. It's one of the most important things to life on this planet.
Yeah. It is. Really?
Yeah, it's meant to be enjoyed, and it's meant to be loved, and it's meant to be nurturing and sustaining. It's meant to do all that.
It absolutely is. In closing, Gail, what are some things that you'd like to share with the audience about what you do, how they can get a hold of you, anything that you have coming up? You mentioned workshops they can do with you. Where can they find you, and how does that work?
You can find me in book sessions at foodrevelation.com. My email is gail@foodrevelation.com. That's GAIL. No, it's not up there. It's Revelation, REVELATION. I am getting ready to start doing workshops in different cities. So my first stop is California. I'm going to be in the San Francisco area. I'm actually going to be there. No West, baby. Just yeah. I'm going to be there for about a month, actually. And I'm going to do at least a couple of workshops there. If you want to get a hold of me, you can call me at 469-640-0619. You can connect with me at Food Revelation on Facebook, and also the Evolution of Free Health on Facebook. So I have 2 Facebook pages.
Awesome. I'll be sure to put this in the notes, so anyone that's interested in getting a hold of Gail, not only does she do public workshops, but she also does private sessions. You can book any of those with her through her website or connect with her personally. And Gail, this is really empowering information. Food plays such an integral role in not only the cultures that we belong to, but also just the actual nurturing and survival of the human species.
Exactly.
On it.
Yeah.
So it's crucial.
It's the most important thing. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing who you are, what you do, what you're passionate about, to empower all of us to be, really connected to the foods that we're eating. Thank you for your information today.
My pleasure.
Yay. So those of you who are listening, please feel free to share this with your own circle, knowing that there's somebody in there that needs to hear either the blessing, they'll need to prepare a meal coming up soon. Perhaps they're their own struggle with identifying the kind of foods that will nourish and are most compatible for them. This is something that I think all of us should be well aware of. So please share this on your timeline, share this with anyone that you know. And those of you who are living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I have a workshop actually coming up on Saturday, November 23rd. If you're interested in joining, I believe, Gail, you're going to be there too, right?
Is it? I thought it was tomorrow.
No, it's on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Saturday, November 23rd. So you'll get to meet Gail in person.
Oh, there you got two things. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm going to be there too. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Got two things coming up this week. I got them.
Yes. Awesome. So you'll get to meet Gail there personally, but this particular workshop I'm facilitating, and it's all about creating a circle of influencers, right? Really surrounding yourself with people who can help us achieve our goals, connect to resources and information, or even give us the guidance and support that we need in our journey. So thank you all so very much for tuning in to Time to Come Alive, the special edition, this holiday edition, and looking forward to connecting with you all in the future. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.